Good evening, everybody. Okay, we'll make a start. So welcome all of you to this month's meeting of the Holwich Parish Council. Thank you all for your attention to the COVID risk assessment. Face masks can be removed during the meeting, but they must be placed back on as you leave for safe departure. If there is a fire that breaks out in the hall, hopefully it won't be this way, if we can follow the exit and collect just past the library. Please don't cross the road in panic. Let's make sure everyone's accounted before anyone disperses. At this meeting, you're not required to stand when addressing council. I will introduce your agenda items to indicate that you're required to speak. Just please raise your hand. The first 10 minutes of the meeting is dedicated to the public who have been asked to submit any questions prior to the meeting. This may be changed for the next meeting back to traditional order. That's fingers crossed. So, we'll instate standing orders and commence with the first item on our agenda.
First, and only question for tonight's meeting is, for years Holbeach and Bloom have taken water from Coobrough Chambers to water plants in the town. This year it is understood they were told such water could not be taken as it was not allowed for in the precept. When the chairman, Councillor Johnson, was questioned on this, his reply was Holbeach and Bloom could apply to the council for water which would be considered by the council at full meeting. It has been stated the classic car show will taking the electricity from the Park Bungalow and Bowls Club. Can it be clarified if it was included in the precept for electricity for a car show and when the full council agreed to such expenditure?
Okay, so thank you for the question. We've obviously already addressed the first part of it, and the questions coming out there is regarding the car show. Do our events committee have an immediate response to that, or would you like? Okay, Isabel, probably right to speak.
Okay. With regard to all of our utilities, both at Coomberrow Chambers and in the park, they are budgeted for each year on the basis of normal use plus a little bit extra for extra items that may occur during the year. Therefore, the electricity that will be used within the car show is coming from our own supplies that we use anyhow throughout the year, so it has been budgeted for, and it is no different to any other event that is using our electricity within the park. Say the food festival, if they need to use electricity, obviously they need to ask our permission, but we are using our own electricity supply, so it is already budgeted for within our normal procedures.
Thank you, Isabel. And everybody just confirm that in writing as well.
Yeah.
Participate. Thank you. Okay, so our first agenda item is 2021/2, number 37, and that's apologies for absence and the reasons given.
Okay, so Councillor Dan Taylor has given his apologies as he's had to take his wife to hospital. Councillor Sam Richardson has childcare issues tonight as his wife has a very important meeting. And we've had an apology from Councillor John Nally, but no reason been given.
Okay, so our protocol there will be for acceptance of apologies and reasons given. Do we have a proposal to accept those as reasons for absence? And the seconder? Thank you, Rachel. All those in favour? Okay. Okay, so just to shorten it down then, so we're agenda item number 38, which is our clerk's report. Thank you.
Thank you. So we now have one vacancy for Holbeach Herne and 4 vacancies for Holbeach Town that we can co-opt for at the next meeting on the 9th of August. So the notices for co-option have been posted. So that's item A. Item B is co-option of a new councillor for Town Ward. We've had one applicant, and that is Carol Kenyon, who is in the building, as they say.
Okay. Thank you, Carol. Carol. Jan, sorry. So, Carol, papers have come in, they've all been checked,
Yeah.
and signed, etc.
Final.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to say a few words?
Good evening, I'm Carol Kenyon. I've lived in Holbeach with my family since 1987, having lived in Long Sutton some years before that. We moved here really to get the best education for the girls. We were told it was excellent. It certainly was for our girls, benefited greatly, as indeed I think education here still is. I've got a lot of love for the town. From various, you'll have seen my photos and things like that, not just the buildings but the people, and it's not the buildings that make a town, is it? It's the community. I'm very keen to learn what the roles and responsibilities of the council are, how that devolves around actually getting things done in the town, and I'm interested in the open spaces and of course the historic buildings and the children, what goes on for the youngsters and things like that. So I'm quite interested in that. I really do believe in an inclusive, cohesive and open parish council. That would be an ethos I would be well prepared to work towards. I'm quite keen to undertake any training that needs to be done and to learn really. And I think that with the help and support of the current councillors, maybe I can be of some use.
Thank you very much, Carol. That's wonderful. So we then have, everything's in order paperwork-wise. Can we have a proposer and a seconder? That's all done and all in agreement.
Who was seconded?
Carol, welcome to the council. Would you like to take a seat?
Right.
There's some paperwork for you now, unfortunately. Super, thank you very much. Right, so moving on to correspondence.
There's just a couple of things that have come in this month, mainly around parishioners being concerned about some of the state, in inverted brackets, of some of the shop fronts in areas of the town. So I've responded saying, unfortunately, it's not the parish council, but I've put out into the right direction to be reported south on.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item 39, which is declarations of interest. This is to receive any declarations of interest in accordance with the requirements of the Localism Act 2011 and to consider any requests for dispensation in respect of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest in agenda items. Isabel?
Yeah, I have a non-pecuniary in item 43, please.
Sophie?
I have a non-pecuniary and I think it would be great.
And so do I. Thank you. That's three of us. Any other declarations of interest to make at this point? You can actually make a declaration of interest just before the agenda point if we've missed you. Okay, so item number 40 is the minutes of the previous meeting. This is to agree the notes of the meeting of the 14th of June 2021 as minutes. Has everybody seen the minutes that's been available to them? Yeah. Do we have a proposer and a seconder for the minutes? Proposer, Simon is second. All in favour? Lovely, that's passed. We'll just get these signed off. Right, thank you for bearing with me on that. Moving on to item 41 is police, county and district matters. Do you have any reports on the police?
Yes, we do. I lost all the documents as well. Okay, so there's been a newsletter from the police. I don't know if everyone's seen it. It explains what they've been doing. They'll be out and about as often as they can with their handheld radar, which you'll be interested in, and for short periods at various places. The last quarter, their priority was dog theft. Their priority this quarter is to look at crime statistics and calls for service to shape the issue, and they'll be concentrating on that for the next 3 months. And then that's basically it.
Great, nice to see you. Okay, so item B and C is county and district matters, and I'd like to say hello to Tracy, our district and county council that's with us. I wonder if I could invite you to deliver your report personally.
Okay, thank you. There is quite a bit on here, so I'll go as quickly as I possibly can for you, okay? So I thought I would do an update on the fairs, particularly as there's quite a few new councillors here as well, so I'll kind of take it back to the beginning a little bit. So in February 2020, the South Lincolnshire Food Enterprise Zone, the FES, was comprising of Phase 1, which was 15 acres of land in LCC ownership. The anchor occupier, who is the University of Lincoln, started construction of its Food Centre of Excellence on Plot 1. We now fast forward to June 2021, in which LCC and SHDC have jointly acquired a further 27 acres of land, which secures Phase 2. Service roads accessing all 12 plots on Phase 1 is now completed, and also the power supply to all of Phase 1 is should be completed by the end of the year as well. The construction of the LCC's new managed workspace and collaboration centre, the Hub, will be commencing on Plot 12, and that's programmed to be complete by March 2022. The Food Centre of Excellence is also now complete. Researchers are now using the facility, and students will be joining in September 21 as well. And there is also now going on the installation of the second University of Lincoln facility, and that's hoping to be opened by November 2021. There are now only 3 plots remaining, which are either not sold, under offer, or at heads of term stage. So you can see already that there's huge interest in it, and there is also strong interest in Phase 2, with negotiations actually underway with one party for 3 specific plots. Other news, Boston Road sinkhole. So LCC are doing their necessary checks prior to the sinkhole works, the stabilisation works being completed. So if you see people working there 22nd, 23rd of July, they're going to be the drainage crews. They're going to be investigating to check we've got no issues with our system before obviously all of that filler is literally put in. What we don't want is for that to go into any cracked pipes or anything like that. The work is still on track to be completed in the summer holidays. Wignall's Gate, the big dip there. The work instruction has been raised for that sunken area to be overlaid, but also the curb and the gullies lifted as well. Again, we're looking at hopefully around about September time for that to be completed. Stookley, obviously the parish handed that back to LCC, and I met with the grounds contractor there last week because there's quite a lot of work that needs doing in there, and also met with engineers in regards to the car park, which obviously has the massive drainage issue there as well. Design and full costings are now being worked up, hoping to look to commence that work potentially around the October half-term stage. And finally, in regards to planning applications, I had one specific application that did concern me in regards to the access at Chaffinch Way. Based on my concerns, I met with 3 highway officers. They come over from Lincoln to meet me there. We talked about my concerns, and they obviously shared them because they have recommended that additional access or amended access to the site does now happen. While I was with the officers, I did raise to them that I think in the south of the county there's sometimes a feeling of that we're forgotten a little bit, and they're in Lincoln, you know, and that kind of thing. So I went through all of that. They really do urge that parish and residents do raise their concerns, speak to me about them, I can feed them back. So as well as using the portal to put your feelings on it, please do talk with me about it, and everything will always be fed back and fed into it. So they are valued, those opinions really are valued. And finally, on county, in regards to the tip, I'm sure you've seen already in the press, go into committee this week with a recommendation to remove the booking system, and later on in the month it'll go to the exec, looking like the booking system will be removed on there. And I think that's it on county. Is there any questions? Else I'll quickly run through a couple of districts.
You've done a cracking job
No.
there.
Okay, I'll go on
Thank you.
districts. So your Sherwood Housing's got 3 community centres. All the residents are keen to get those reopened so they can start doing those social elements. All the risk assessments all underway. Some are already completed for getting those open ASAP. I have requested a supply team to get into town. They are a bit short-staffed, but that's in regards to a Boston Road tidy up, St John's, a few hours in town that's looking messy, that I'm sure has been raised to some of you as well. It's on the list, it will be coming. Early presentation of bags. This is something that one of your members did raise to me. Some people are putting them out which are on the high street early. Please do report them directly onto the SHD website. I also spoke to officers about them. They've been out, checked them. The bags will be searched for ID. I did check last weekend and there was still some out on the high street over the weekend. So keep reporting as much as possible and they will be checked. Albert Street, again reported to me, mass bags, mass problem. All of that got cleared. The officer corresponded directly with the landlord, who responded extremely quickly, cleared the whole area, including the mattresses and everything that had been left there. So that's fabulous and it will be watched. And finally, Flash Shop Day was a huge, great success. Stephen, I know you participated in that, so brilliant. You came and shopped. 107 visitors to that one business on that day, of which 90 purchased. So please, when you see the next one, which will be on the 22nd of this month, please get involved and go shop into the shop. More info will be coming. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I think that's fabulous. And if we can help support the Flash Shop Days, parish Facebook page, what we can do to help them with those, great incentive. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
I was just going to say, can we put it on our Holbeach Parish page, because I wasn't aware of the first one.
It was in the paper, so it was in Luke Through Press. It was all over Holbeach Local, all on there. But absolutely, yeah, if you want to share it on to there from Holbeach Local, please do.
Okay.
It'll be all focused on one shop, which I'll release more info, but it'll be the 22nd. But it made a big impact, a lot of sales and a lot of new people in the town. So yeah,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, so fantastic update. Thank you so much, Tracy, and all your hard work here. So moving on to our next item, number 42, which is highway matters and road closures. Please, Jan.
Okay, so we've got several this month. There's upgrading to the water recycling centre in Cherry Tree Lane at the end of July. Roman Bank near Middle West Road, between the 19th of July and 6th of August. The B1168 at Holbeach Road at Jekyll's Bank between the 9th of August and the 3rd of September. The B1168 again at Main Road, Chapel Grove between the 9th of August and the 11th of August. Roman Bank west of Little Common between the 4th of August and the 6th of August. And Staunton's Gate at Joy's Bank between the 16th of August and the 18th of August.
Thank you very much. So moving on to our next item, which is item 43. We've got the Open Spaces Committee, and I can invite the report from the Chairman, Councillor Rachel Clark, please. That's not Rachel.
Not as much to say as I have. Brilliant. Thank you very much. I'd like to say thank you to Kevin Wilson, ex-councillor, for all the work she did prior to us taking over. And she'll be sadly missed. We have been discussing options, hang on, I can't see this a bit small, options and possible sites for the equipment in Carter's Park, including the inclusive play equipment and the pump track if funding is secured. After some of the feedback from the Facebook post what been out, we'd like to trial leaving the dog run unlocked for possibly 3 months flexible, as it seemed quite a popular post and something we could work on. We also discussed that any groups using Netherfields.
That wasn't planned. Keep going.
A bit where you can get out. We've also discussed that any groups that use Netherfields after they've set the risk assessments in can have access to a key to read, so we can help with the parking, so they can get the cars out of the residential area. The asbestos at Battlefield allotment is found to be a grade C, and we'll need some more advice on that. The duck food machine is proving to be quite popular, and the Parks and Cemeteries manager has been helping to keep it topped up and keeping an eye on it. A couple more councillors now have asked to be involved, and any of the monies made from this will be put back into open spaces projects.
Super, thank you for that great information. So we've got some items here on the agenda to go through. So we start with items A under open spaces. This is to agree to leave the gates of the dog run at Park Road entrance unlocked on a flexible 3-month trial basis. Great idea, allows people to use it earlier or a little bit later, but the trial is flexible, so it can be reversed. Do we have a proposal, please, to the seconder? Rachel's proposal and somebody seconding. All those in favour? Thank you. Okay, the next item B is to agree to give the groups that have permission to use the park a key to open and close the vehicle access gate at Netherfields when they are using this facility. So this was a great debate that you had within the committee, and the original question was to discuss and agree to recommend to full council to open the vehicular access gates at Netherfields. So there's a great piece of work happened here. In a short space of time, you've come up with a temporary solution to get the cars off the areas, away from the houses. The actual original question was to open the gates, and I think because we didn't have the time to look out and have the full view of the public, i.e. through social media or our colleagues the press or however we do it, if we consult with the public, we'll then be able to give a definitive answer on whether we should leave those gates open or not. So I think well done on the synopsis. So we're going to vote on giving the keys out, but I do recommend that we put back on the agenda for the consultation period for the general public to decide whether it's a benefit or a negative for those gates to be opened.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So we're going to have a proposal or second then to agree to give the groups that have permission to use the park a key to open and close the vehicle access gates at Netherfields when they are using the facility. Do you want a proposal? Rachel, seconded Sophie. All those in favour? And can we have it on the agenda for an update on the public consultation? Well, I'd hope that if we get on with it, we should have something for next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just ask Steve, if I work with the IT party in the next few days and we put something out there?
Yeah, that can be right.
Definitely, I think you should be utilising the PR and IT and also our colleagues in the press to get out a public message saying, do you want these gates open, whether it's a trial, do they want them closed, then we can actually have an informed discussion on what it's going to involve and what we need to budget for, so we'll have a clear opinion from the general public.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so item C is to agree to open the walkway between the picnic area and the grass area near the fitness equipment, but on a weather-dependent basis.
I propose it.
Okay, propose to have a seconder. Isabel, all those in favour? Okay, so that's agreed. Item D is to agree the memorials and burials. That's you, Jan.
Right, so we've got Memorial Park Road, Lawson, Memorial Park Road, Ward, Memorial Park Road, Pell, Memorial Park Road, Allen, Memorial Park Road, Carter, Burial Hallgate, Ransom, a reservation that's been redacted for data protection, Burial Park Road, Tyler, Burial Park Road, Pulling, Burial Park Road, Ewing, and Burial Park Road, Ashton. So could I have a proposer and a seconder, please?
I'll propose them. Isabel, all those in favour? Yeah. Okay. Item E is to agree to a Facebook post explaining a proposed future project for a pump track in Carter's Park. It sounds very amazing.
This is to gauge public interest so we can put it forward on our grant applications.
Super. Yeah.
Several ideas, and the track is a very nice idea once we've been out and had a meeting and looked at the layout of what sizing we can do. But with any grant, we need to know what public interest, or if it's feasible, or if it's going to be used.
It's essential that public consult on things like
So we
this.
have to for the grant.
And the pump track is an in-between of the skate park. It's a mixture of a lot of things, so
Yes.
great work on there. So do we have a proposer, please? Isabel, seconder? John, all those in favour? Thank you. That's agreed.
But I just wanted to make it clear on our, any post we put out, this is a
Future project.
future.
Says it.
Yes.
Says it. Okay, so item number F is to agree to approach Radar regarding the deeds of Carter's Park. I presume this is a fact-finding mission just for them to go through it legally.
It is because of some of the paperwork we discovered, just to double check it and make
Yeah.
sure that everything is how we think it is. And we pay for this service and they offer a good service and we can use it.
I think it's essential. A lot of those documents are very, very old. The wording is different, so legislation and governance has changed. It's always good to double check, so great call. Can we have a proposer and a seconder? That's Isabel and Sandra. All those in favour? That's passed, thank you. And G is to agree to investigate the possibility of changing the bylaws in the park.
Yes, there's some very dated bylaws, extremely dated. And some councils have changed some of their bylaws and some we could tinker with. Keep the majority, but just to update them basically, and make them more usable for modern times.
A very good point. Again, it's about sort of updating, coming up and pushing forward. And if we're going to introduce something like a pump track or something like that, what goes ahead, anything future, we have to make sure the bylaws are.
Well, these are done in 6.
Yeah, it's
So
before,
they
yeah.
don't cover modern life.
Okay, so can we have a proposer and a seconder to investigate those items, please? So Evelyn and Isabel, thank you. All those in favour? Okay, that one's passed. H. Asbestos report at Battersfield Lane. 4 samples had been taken and 3 were found to be of grade C asbestos. To agree to contact companies to ascertain what type of works are required and what cost. Very straightforward. Do we have a proposer and a seconder, please? Isabel? Thank you, Rick. All those in favour? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, so moving on to item 44 is planning, properties, emergency planning and speeding committee. What a title. The report we would invite from Chairman Eddie McNally, who is not with us today, so handing that over to Martin Peter.
Yes, the report from the Chairman of the Election Committee is at the last committee meeting, Councillor Sparks was proposed as secretary and appointed as Vice Chair of that committee. All planning applications up to that date have been discussed and sent out to councillors. Responses can be seen on the drive and also full details on South Holland's planning page. There were discussions around the future use of the telephone box as charities regarding the suggestion that a defibrillator is installed. As is a listed box, the clerk will for more information and that will be forthcoming. Subject of the Emergency Planning Committee, looking for 2 volunteers and a coordinator for that. And we've also reached out to South Wales District Council to send out to explain the workings of that subcommittee and how it would link with the main committee, main council here. On the speed front, the campaign to reduce speed in the parish continues. Since been moved now a further 4 times in the month, everywhere from Stukely out to Wobbington, out to St Mark's as well. There's some interesting figures of speed. I'll leave that for the minutes. Most frightening one was outside Williams Stukely School, one vehicle doing 80 miles an hour. Working closely with County Councillor and District Councillors to try and bring a number of parties together to provide a joint approach. I'm glad to see that item in the police report, that they can be out and about with the speed limits, visibility. We've got an ever-growing list of locations where parishioners are very concerned, and the 5 further mounting plates that we purchased with the SID, 4 have been deployed, there's 1 still waiting to go out.
Can I ask a question? No?
Is it covered in any of the survivors?
Well, it's about the phone box.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so item A then, that we're going to go through the items that we agreed as per the committee, to agree to investigate the possibility of purchasing empty shops with flats above and borrowing from SHDC at 1.5%. Now, we deferred this last time with the absence of Eddie. Are we happy to defer that again, Peter, or do you want to chip in on it?
I think we need to
Defer?
Eddie's got the details on that.
Super, can I have a...
Can I just also say that the finance committee need to be involved?
Yeah, of
We put
course.
this into budget for next year.
Yeah, I think that the initial census is Eddie wanted to get a flavour and then before involving everybody and getting everyone's voted. So can we just have a proposal seconded to defer? Nick? Isabel? Defer. Thank you. B is to agree the planning application responses as recommended by the committee. Has everybody seen the planning responses?
Just to make a point on
Of
that
course you
one.
can.
At our planning, our committee meeting, we did agree those planning applications there, and we have got delegated powers to agree them at that meeting.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that we need to agree them again here.
No.
What we should be doing is agreeing another set, so we're on a 2-weekly rota,
Yeah.
but we haven't got any to agree.
Okay.
So, well, they haven't got any responses to agree, so we're now missing this opportunity because we haven't got any responses to agree. So I think just moving forward, we need to make sure that we get our responses into
Yeah.
the correct meeting so that they can be agreed to be
This is
forwarded.
a timing issue.
Yeah.
With regards to that, the item to agree the planning responses as recommended by the committee has already been agreed by the committee and therefore doesn't need to be on this agenda. Is the planning committee going to sort out the timing issues?
We'll have to.
Yeah. Okay.
Just stick on the next agenda.
Yeah.
So item C is to agree to the works required on the flat roof at Cooperoo Chambers and to agree to go out to tender. I believe this would be Isabel?
Yeah, there is an issue with the roof above the clerk's office. It is getting badly cracked. It is a flat roof. We have had somebody to initially look at it, and they have suggested that there are a couple of areas that need fairly urgent work. The rest of it is not too bad, but whilst they're doing it, it's best to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It hasn't been done in all the time that I've known that we've had Kimbrough. There have been other areas that have been done, but that particular area hasn't been addressed. So it is well overdue. So yes, I propose that we go out for getting some prices on it.
Very straightforward. We've got to protect the property. Flat roofs have very limited lifespans, some 15, 20 years. If it's damaged, sometimes it's more cost-worthy. So can we have a proposer, a seconder to agree to the works
Can I
required
ask a
on a
question,
flat roof?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Evelyn.
Does that mean that we put the problem with the flat roof ahead of replacing windows which are still fairly serviceable?
Yeah, from what I can make out, the agenda item is to agree that those works are going to proceed, not to prioritise work above something else. So when we agree something on the agenda, it's a purpose to say, yes, go ahead, but prioritise. So I would believe that your question would be
Yeah, I
one
mean,
would go before the other. It'd be urgency first.
what I was trying to say is the roof is more important to make sure that that stays dry rather than the windows. So the roof gets done first.
Yeah. We rely on the specialists to give us those expertise, so but
Yeah.
thank you for your comment. So do we have a proposal and seconder, Isabel? Rick? All those in favour? Super, thank you. So item D is to agree to appoint 2 members of the to the emergency planning and subcommittee. The deja vu here. We had this last month, did we not? So we're looking for 2 members to join the emergency planning subcommittee. So that sits under the planning committee and it's for emergency planning. Are there volunteers? 2 committees. No, it's not. Anybody? Any members of the public to go on a subcommittee? Okay. So we'll defer that.
Can I suggest that we take that back to planning
Yeah.
committee and we will have to deal with it. It has to be dealt with. We've got to move on with it.
Yeah. So instead of having a subcommittee, it might be that planning actually have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately no takers. So we'll refer that back to planning. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Isabel? Sophie? Yeah. All those in favour? And E is to agree to reopen Coomberry Chambers to the public on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 till 4 from the 19th of July when the situation was relaxed with regards to COVID restrictions. Most people have been encouraged to go back to work on a stage basis, and obviously ours is those set times and to get open to the public, and obviously following guidelines in a restricted space. It will be more for us as individuals to decide if we're going to wear a mask, but sanitising things and those sort of things will be in place for many months to come. So do we have a proposal and a seconder to reopen Coomberry? Rachel?
I propose.
Proposing? I've got a choice here. I'll go with John. All those in favour? That's agreed. Sorry, John. No. It's time to get the doors open. Okay, so item 45 is the PR and IT committee, and here I'll invite a report from the chairman, Councillor Samuel Richardson, and in his absence, I shall ask Sophie.
Okay, so I'll just summarise Sam's report, which is in the drive. So he says we had another excellent meeting working together. We've been looking at lanyards for councillors, so when they're going out on council business, everybody can be seen and visible. We've been looking at getting councillor photos on the Facebook site and website, which is obviously the agenda for today. So again, everybody can know who we are, presence in the public, and get a little bit more about ourselves out there. And we're also looking at getting more options for the public to be able to come and talk to us. So we've been discussing having open forums back at all of our committee meetings. So you've got options there, and also trialling the PR committee going to the market once a month to talk to parishioners, and again that's agendaed for tonight. We've also been reviewing some policies, so we've got social media policy reviewed, and we've got the vexatious policy and community engagement policy to look at. And that's basically it, to be honest, for the report.
Thank you very much. Sounds like everyone's been really busy, which is great to see. Okay, so the first item A on the PR&IT committee to agree, and that is to adopt the vexatious policy. This has been provided on the drive. Has everybody seen that and digested? Do we have a proposer and a seconder to adopt that policy, please? Rick, Sophie, all those in favour? That's agreed. Item B is to agree and adopt a community engagement and communication policy. This again was circulated on the team drive. Has everybody had a chance to see that and digest?
Have we seen it?
Not seen it, Evan? Okay, so do we have a proposer and a seconder to adopt the community engagement and communication policy? Sophie? Isabel? All those in favour? That's passed. Evelyn, are you voting with us?
Sorry.
We just voted to adopt. Was you voting for the policy?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item C is to agree, as recommended by the committee, to publishing council photos and Facebook statements. Now, this is obviously my talk drive passed over by PR and IT, and I myself have been active with regards to giving direction or statements that I've been asked for. I see it very positive. It's getting the images out there, it's getting our faces known, so that the general public are aware. I'm all behind it. But obviously it's for up to individuals, whether you want your photo and a little statement of what you've been up to or you're involved in, something interesting, something you're helping out. It could be absolutely anything, but PR and IT have requested this item. So to agree as recommended by the committee to publishing councillor photos and Facebook statements. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? That's Rick and Sandra. All those in favour? That's passed. To get writing your little memoirs now.
Can I just say something?
Of course you can, Sandra, yeah.
I'm fully aware that, looking at some of the responses on Facebook, that actually, I'm not disagreeing with it, that councillors could be given verbal abuse like they are actually on Facebook from time to time over different things. But if your photograph's published, you could get it personally. I'm just aware of that. I'm not saying I don't want it, but
yeah,
I'm very aware of it.
I do take your point, and obviously being in parish council life now for coming into my 4th year, obviously you do get known and people do tend to come after you or not chase you down the street, but they're following you. It goes with the turf, and the Facebook page is moderated by the PR and IT, and I think they should be relied upon to source your post to make sure that that it's not going to agitate any kind of issue. So they're not asking you to do it yourself. You do it by
as long as we're all aware that it will actually happen.
Yeah, and it will happen, but only if we are able to let it happen. The transparent and honest and factual about everything that we post is paramount, and that's how we're directing at the moment. So hopefully we've got a very minimal, but there will be the odd one, don't get me wrong, but the PR and I team should be relied upon in the defence.
Hello.
Rachel.
I'm more than happy for it to go on the parish council page, but I do not want them shared on Spotted Hobby. Please? There's no need.
I agree. I think it should be on the parish
Councils, I want to be on the
council
parish council page.
not Facebook.
Yeah.
Can I just ask where we stand with data protection or something like that? Is it just going to be an individual can opt out from having?
Yes, so if it's a bit like when you sign your paperwork to South Holland and you do your interest forms, you can have your phone number published or your address, or you can have it taken out. You'll contact PR and IT and say that although you're behind it and you might want to contribute to posts, as in factual stuff you're working on, you might not want your picture or something attached to you, so you have certain rights under data protection. We totally respect that, which I think will cover your post.
Just on that point, if councillors want to do a statement but don't want a photo to it because they don't want a photo, then again, more than happy to do that. just whatever you feel comfortable with. Again, it doesn't have to be paragraphs, just maybe a little statement of why you're joining the parish council and what you want to be focusing on, what your key, interests are. Just getting us out to the public a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's all about engagement. Although we've agreed that item, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to participate. You can opt out, but I think it's a great, clear message out there to say, hello, this is who we're looking for. Okay, so moving on is to item D, to agree the reviewed social media policy as recommended by the committee. So they've been through the social media policy. It's been checked against current bits and pieces, and I think everyone's seen that on the drive. Everyone seen that? Yeah. Proposer and a seconder. Super. And Rachel. All those in favour? That's passed. So that will be down for review in 12 months. Yeah.
Can I just expanding on that point a little bit? When we reviewed it, obviously includes all stuff about Facebook posting, etc. Obviously I'm an advocate of commenting on Facebook and clients unfortunately on Facebook. Obviously not everybody's comfortable, don't use Facebook. But if any councillors do want to respond and they're not quite sure what to say, what you can and can't say, general rule is no opinions. That's best because it can get misconstrued. And best option if you don't know what the answer to the question, then just say you're going to refer it back to a committee or refer it back to the clerk. At least it gets acknowledged, and then we're just getting ourselves out there. But again, if anybody wants to comment, more than welcome. But if you don't want to use your personal pages, then that's absolutely fine.
I think the idea of the Facebook whole thing is is getting out there in front of people, and there will be the pros and falls against most things we do in public life. But social media, it can be a whirlwind. It can go completely the way. So we really have to entrust the PR and IT team. And when I was sat in there, we was always responding, and we would respond to messages and things like that, usually within hours of them appearing, to give that acknowledgement back to the public. And that's the key here. It's acknowledging our public and being transparent and truthful about what we're actually doing. Hence why all the committee meetings are published there too. So it just gives a clear message as to where we're going. Thank you for the debate. Okay, E is to agree to run a surgery one day a month where parishioners can drop in to meet councillors and ask questions as recommended by the committee. So this was covered with regards to the committee meetings, and Sophie just mentioned that the committee meetings will have an open forum just as we do here, and we hope from the next meeting, with the COVID being relaxed, people can ask their own questions as opposed to writing in, etc. So that was one of the things that was debated. If you really watch the meeting, there was looking at introducing a public forum in every committee meeting. It gives extra chances for the public to ask questions, which is fabulous. Do you want to add anything to that, Sophie?
No, just, obviously we discussed it and we thought the best option for running the surgery was just do a drop-in session at a very prominent place in town. So we were thinking market on Thursday. We thought we would just stick to the PR committee joining in on that, and if you want to as well as chairman, then you can join in. Trial it, see how it goes, and we'll come back to our next PR committee meeting with feedback on that one. And then again, if I could propose to amend the agenda item to include open forums at committee meetings as well, please.
Okay, so we'll deal with the amendment first. So we're dealing with an amendment to the agenda item to include open forums in the surgeries. Do we have a proposal and a seconder for the amendment?
Mr Chairman, when you're saying about the open forum, I take it you were planning on having them in the centre of Holbeach. Would it not be quite a good idea to actually go out to Holbeach Herne one time and go to the outlying areas, because not everybody can get into Holbeach. I'm thinking of the older generation.
Great point. I mean, the thing is here we're looking at giving the agreement that this is the way forward. This is what we're going to do with regards to what we have now. So the committee meetings will have the open forum, and we'll go to the marketplace, which people do travel to come. I went on Thursday, met Tracy there, but it was quite busy, abundance of people from all from everywhere really. But you've got a great point there that we can then refer back to the committee to ask them to include the
It's
boards.
just that we are seeing that we're not forgetting our outlining areas.
Yeah.
And I think it would be quite a good thing if we were to actually go out to them, not expect them to come to us all the time.
Great. Well, so what I'll do, I'll ask that to be an agenda item for that committee to think about going out as well and adapt it to the droves and our town wards. So can we just go back to the agenda item, please? And we are voting on the amendment to include open forums in item E, which is to agree to run the surgeries 1 day a month. So do I have a proposal and a seconder for the amendment? No. That's Rick and Isabel. All those in favour? So the amendment's passed. So we're now agreeing to run the surgery, which will include open forums at the committee meetings, at least 1 day a month, where parishioners can drop in to meet councillors and ask questions as recommended by the committee. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Isabel? Sophie? All those in favour? Did you want to vote on that?
So,
Did you want to vote on that?
yeah, I'd just like to say that I would appreciate if my surname was spelled correctly.
Okay, well you can take that up with the office. All right.
Yes.
Not the time, thank you. Okay, so going on to item F is to agree to offer an email address to every member of staff. This is something that was picked up when we talked about giving an email address to a line of people, and we just said we should have an email address for everybody. Whether they want it or not is another thing. So we're looking to agree to offer an email address to every member of staff. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Rick? Yeah, super. All those in favour? And that's agreed. And moving on to item number 46 is the events committee. If I can hand over to a report from the chairman of council, Ms. Hudson, please.
Yep, well we've had our next events committee meeting. Obviously we've been concentrating on the car show, which is coming up on Sunday. Everything is now in place. We've got all the risk assessments, the COVID risk assessments all in place, so everything's ready to go. And we've had a walk around the site today to make sure everybody knows where everything's going. So everything's all going forward with that one. We have had some good sponsorship from a couple of local businesses, so that has helped with any costs that we have to incur on that event, so that has been positive. We are intending looking at our next bigger events for next year at our next committee meeting in August. So our first priority is to look at the Jubilee celebrations for next year. So we are going to start looking at what we can do, and we would like to offer the opportunity to any groups or any members of the public that have any ideas that they want to bring forward to that meeting. If they would like to email the office and let them know that they have something that they would like to bring to that meeting, we would be very grateful for any input so that we can start to build on that event for next year. And then obviously we're then going to carry on with our smaller events for this year. There was quite a bit of negative feedback from one of the ideas for October, so I have asked that that be agended for our next full council meeting to discuss how we wish to move forward with that particular event, if at all. So that will be agended for our next full council meeting.
Thank you very much. Been very busy. Looking forward to Sunday. Right. No items to agree there, so we move on to agenda item 47, which is the Finance Committee, and here I'll hand over to report from the Chairman and Councillor Rick Stevens.
So we met again on Monday, which is our second proper meeting. All the agenda items that we looked at were all approved. We're very, very keen to start building budgets for the next financial year, and I've sent out a spreadsheet to every councillor to start capturing any projects that they want to do, so that we can start looking at priorities and how much everything's going to cost. And I've asked that to come back on to the first cut for the end of August. To aid transparency, it's been agreed that at each meeting 10 invoices will be checked to ensure that compliance with the council's policies. And since the last meeting, all financial procedures have been reviewed and updated, and I'd like to thank Jan for all the hard work and effort that she's done.
Thank you very much. Good to hear that we talk about budget so soon as well. Thank you. Okay, so items to agree is A, is to agree the July payments list. Have we all seen the July payments list? Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Isabel, Rick, all those in favour? That's agreed. B is to agree the Barclaycard payment. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Rick? Rachel? All those in favour? That's passed. C is to agree the bank reconciliation. Has everyone had a chance to peruse that? Are you proposing it? Or are you?
I'll propose.
You oppose it, so we have a proposer, a seconder. Rick, all those in favour? Yeah. Okay, as long as someone's up there. Okay, D is to agree the councillor's expenses policy. Now, did everybody read this and understand it? Okay.
I did just want to confirm, for members of the public listening, it's not expenses as in that we will be claiming back, you know, for other things that we've agreed on, just mileage, which we've always been doing for if you go to a training course or if you've got a duty that you've been pre-authorised to do by the council, then we do mileage at a standard rate. And obviously if you've been pre-authorised to purchase something for a specific job, then that will be reimbursed. But it's not normal expenses.
No, I think the valid point there is, you know, we, as councillors we are volunteers, and if you've got a legit expense that the council has asked you to incur, then it's only fair that, you know, the policy is adopted and the policy is worded specifically for that. It's not like you can put your lunch down and stuff like that. So do we have a proposer and a seconder, please? Rachel, thank you, Peter. All those in favour? Yeah. Okay, E is to agree to appoint Bully David as internal auditors for 2021/22. Do you have a proposer? Rick, seconder, Evelyn. All those in favour? Yep, that's passed. Okay, F is to agree to add councillors, myself, West Dropson, R. Stevens and P. Sparks to the Barclays banking mandate. Standard procedure, we're looking to add these extra people on there, so there's a mixture of people, so payments can be authorised in the absence of sickness or illness. Safety precautions, safety net really. So do we have a proposer and a seconder for that, please? Isabel, seconder. Rachel, all those in favour? That's agreed. G is to agree to financial risk assessments, which again was available within the Teams Drive. Did everyone get a chance to have a look at that? And do we have a proposer and a seconder? Rick? Isabel? All those in favour? Are you voting, Evelyn? Yeah, thank you. H is to agree to adopt the updated financial regulations, so that's a separate set of rules. Very straightforward. I'm sure we've already registered them. Do we have a proposer and a seconder, please, Rick? I'll second them. All those in favour? Mixing it up a little bit, yeah? Okay, agreed. To agree and adopt the procurement policy. Did I say that right?
You did, yeah. Yeah.
So, okay,
There is some major changes on there, isn't there, that we've gone through and looked at,
yeah.
and we're expecting people to comply with what we've said. Anything spent over £250
Yeah,
has to be authorised, etc. It's all in the document.
yeah, and I think the document's very, very nicely worded, very polished, and it's a clear set of rules.
Yes.
Do we have a proposer and a seconder for those? Rachel, Sandra, all those in favour? Thank you, that's passed. To agree to give the Finance Committee delegated powers to pay the Barclaycard invoice up to a value of £1,000 when the date is due before a full council meeting. So here we have an agreement for when those dates are not aligned, that they can go ahead, authorise and pay the Barclaycard bill on the behalf of full council. Makes sense, so we don't get any charges.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a £12 charge if you miss the payment. So.
Yeah. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Evelyn and Rick. All those in favour? That's passed. Well done, thank you. Moving on to number 48 was to discuss the number of councillors required for Holbeach Parish Council. So at the last meeting Rick brought this up as an agenda item, and I believe you have a short report.
Yeah, just very, very basic. So the current structure of the parish council gives us a total of 18 councillors. Currently we've got 12 vacancies for 6 in total, that was before COVID. The council has historically always had 18 councillors, with 2/3 of them being the largest ward. We've got all the committees near enough fully covered now, so I believe it's time to review the number of councillors that we need. I'd like to suggest that if all the vacancies were filled, we would have too many councillors, which adding councillors to the committees could lead to larger meeting rooms required, increased costs of hiring meeting rooms, and exceptionally longer meeting rooms due to more discussion. So, I believe that to improve transparency, which is Stephen's big thing, I believe the electorate would at this time welcome the reduction in the number of councillors working on their behalf. And I would like to suggest that town ward is reduced by 2, Burn ward reduced by 1, St John's and Roe wards to remain as is. And I'd like to ask the parish clerk, to investigate the procedure to action this with South Holland District Council and update the full council at the next meeting, please.
So, I mean, there's some work gone into that, and there is that question about, God, 18 people is a lot, but we do have quite a big district, and I know there's certain procedures, and if Jan can work with South Holland and whoever she needs to consult with and report back to us, to see if it's a consideration. Now, on a plus side, what we've got to think about is if we have, because of all the exciting things that are happening and people are generally joining us, and those seats do get co-opted on first, we've no need to change it, but we're armed with the knowledge of how to go about it should a situation arise like that again. But again, more people sharing the workload, working as a team, great ethic, but I can see that if in the period of say 4 months, if we still had a vast amount of empty seats, which hopefully we won't, there's your point. So well done, Rick, on that. And Jan, if you can investigate that further.
So, it's what I've been mindful of, because obviously we've had an agenda item today where we couldn't put 2 members onto a subcommittee. There's a lot of us on the same committees. And if you're reducing the numbers, that's going to stay the same, isn't it? And we're struggling to find people to go on these other little bits and pieces. So I don't want to be too hurried to cut numbers.
Great point, and that's why I mentioned about, like saying 4 months' time, if we still was left with a load of empty seats, then we could consider it. But if they get filled, brilliant. We've then got the extra bodies to fill these posts. But I do agree, Rachel, we don't want to be on every single committee. We need to be focusing on our key areas. Okay, so oh sorry, Sandra.
What exactly do we do to promote the fact that we need more councillors? Because I don't see, do you know what I mean? A bit of PR here of why we need more councillors, enlarge on it and keep putting it out there.
I think you're quite right. If I've seen the posts that PR are creating about councils. There's a whole new one
Yeah,
only last week. Yeah.
Things like that, outline,
There's a
you know.
There's a flyer that I designed when I was on PR and IT that we've used for canvassing. We'd go to the food festival that's coming up, giving out leaflets, talking to people.
We've got car show coming, it's a bit late for that though now.
But it's not
even
because
on the market.
you're going to have a lot of councillors in that area enjoying the car show. They're stewarding, they're going to be talking to the public, encouraging co-option.
Yeah.
Every time you speak to a member of the public, it's giving that view, and they are welcome to come on board and encouraging that. So, it's not all down to PR, it's was all engaging with everybody as
Because I
well.
see a lot of comments on Facebook, and they're the people that should be coming
You're right.
doing something
You're right.
about it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's that engagement process. So that happens not just by a leaflet or a post on Facebook. It's it's where we bump into people, where we're encouraging our friends and family. You might know someone that's going to be a great counsellor. Get them to come on and give it a go.
Yeah. Try the shops,
Yeah.
the high street. I'll come with you.
Sophie.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, I should have done that when I took the posters
You can
round.
buy the coffees down at the hall.
Okay, so Sophie.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think so.
in terms of like the Facebook page, because obviously I did do a post about co-opting and stuff like that, but from looking at what posts do really well and where we get the engagement from, it seems to be like the post where you say we're going to put out we agree to do an inclusive swing, or we're agreeing to do that, showing that we are kind of moving forward, we are looking at other options. They're the posts that actually encourage people to kind of join and interact more, because they can see, well, actually I'd be interested in doing that. I do think, you know, the information out there about what is involved with being a counsellor would be quite a good idea, but you know, the posts that do get the most reach and the most engagement from people is showing what we're doing, and that we are engaging with the public. So
Thank you. Evelyn.
Lautker's actually got a poster, and it's titled Why I Will Not Become a Counsellor, and it's 13 excuses and then the answers underneath, and that is a very, very good tool.
Super.
And I'll see if I can get that to you, Sophie.
brilliant, thank you.
Thank you, that's a great point, and thank you for your comments, Angela. Okay, so moving on is agenda item number 49, and this is to discuss and agree to investigate setting up a youth council for under 18s to work alongside the council. Very topical. I would have then introduced this over to Sam, and in his absence, to Sophie, please.
So this was Sam's idea. Obviously, we haven't done too much investigation into it, but there was a document in the drive about how to kind of go about it, how to set it up, the kind of do's and don'ts. So, to be honest, I think it would be a very good idea to try and get some young people involved. Maybe look at giving them some delegated powers, a budget, so they can manage their own things, possibilities. There was ideas in that document. But yeah, I think a bit more investigation with the PR and IT committee, and we can look to move that forward.
I think that's a superb idea. When I went on some training when I first became a counsellor, I was interacting with schools, and the schools have their own like mini council. Fabulous idea, especially getting the youth engaging in the bits that we don't see is great. So the agenda item is to agree to investigate a setting up for the youth council. Do we have a proposer and a seconder? Sandra? Sophie? All those in agreement? Evelyn? Are you voting? Thank you.
Excuse me, can I just ask, do we still have a youth club from the hub, or no youth club in town?
I don't think there is one. It is there, but it's not used, is it?
Am I allowed?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So the hub is back in LCC's control. Lots of work is going on there at the moment, and then the plan is for it to reopen once that work is completed, and then youth facilities will resume. That
That's
is the
good.
plan of action.
That's
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Sophie. Okay, so moving on then to item number 50 is HR, Health and Safety and Data Committee, and the report by Chairman Councillor Sophie Hutchinson.
Well, I would like to propose that my report goes into closed session because I've got a couple of confidential items to discuss. So I'll propose that.
I'll second it.
All those in favour? Are you not voting, Evelyn?
I'll abstain on that one.
Okay, so moving on, we'll go back to that one closed session. 51 items for discussion and agenda item requests. We've already had a couple through the meeting, which was obviously the Netherfield Gates and the investigation to the reduction in the number of councillors, and open to the floor. Isabel?
Yes, following on from the Holbridge and Bloom deciding that they're no longer going to continue after October, I do think it's something that we need to agenda, that we can discuss as to how we move forward with that. I do also think that it would be useful to open that up as a public meeting, either prior to our next meeting or after our next meeting, so that we can encourage as many groups or people that are interested in getting involved in any way, shape or form, so that we can gauge the interest that is actually out there, because it may be that another group wants to set up individually, it may be that we just need to coordinate, but we need to get some sort of idea of what we need to be doing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. We share the loss of Holbridge and Bloom retiring in November, but when that becomes an opportunity, there is going to be groups that do want to get involved, doing it publicly and involving as many members of the public that want to carry on that legacy is a really good point. So,
Can I add to this, because it's not decided that Holbridge and Bloom completely closes.
They posted on Facebook. They have,
yeah.
The main aspect of In Bloom, which dealt with the parish council areas, is finishing, yes.
So what does that, the post
I
actually say?
don't know, until we've had our AGM, I cannot give you the full outline. I only know what I know at the moment.
Has Holbridge and Bloom officially contacted the parish? I saw the post.
Yeah, so did I.
Saying that they was retiring. So are you saying they're now changing their
No,
mind?
all I know is that the areas that we dealt with for or with the parish council, I might say,
So basically they want to discontinue looking after parish council areas.
yes, it's got to scale right back.
Yeah, so their post says,
I did read it, yes.
yeah, so I'd have to remind
No.
people, but, you know, being specific, if they are saying parish council areas, then we do need to
Exactly,
consider that. It is unfortunate that they're not inclusive us or not contacted us, but we'll agenda that for further
I think
discussion.
that was going to come after our AGM.
Yeah, well, they've publicly
Yeah, I know.
posted it, and it's just giving out mixed messages, because a lot of people jumped on that and was you know, giving their opinions, whereas now you've told us that, we think, oh, it's not so doom and gloom, you know, and I think it's one of those things where...
But it would be great if we could involve other groups. There's the Horticultural Society within town. There is lots of other, I know we looked at other groups for taking over the flower bed within the churchyard. There is other groups out there who
Yeah.
probably will be interested in
Hence
other
why
areas.
Isabel suggested an
Yeah.
open public consultation,
Would
and
be a good
maybe
idea.
Holbridge and Bloom can make a decision on what they want to do and what they don't want to do, and let us know. That'd be pretty much
Yeah.
what we're after here.
I think it's a good one to involve the schools in this.
Yeah.
Children love planting things and, you know, creating gardens and things like that.
That's
You know, of all age groups.
Yeah, that's perfect, Sandra. So when it comes up on the agenda, we'll
Yeah.
discuss it in more detail. Thank you, Rachel. Any other agenda item requests, Rick?
I've had a few members of the public ask about Park Road Cemetery and the condition of the tree that fell over last year.
The whole, yeah.
It looks horrible when you walk past it, and it just hasn't been actioned yet. I don't understand why. Obviously, before I came on the council, but something needs to be done in there.
Are you talking about the stump?
Yeah.
Because the tree's gone. So you mean like the wood carving or because of that?
No, not
No.
the wood carving. No, it's
What fell over?
one that fell over the big one.
So is it waiting to be carved?
No, the one
No.
it came over in the wind.
Yeah.
Remember we got rid of all the logs in
Yeah,
winter
that's
in
right,
there?
Yeah.
The root and everything is still up in the ground.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
And you've got gravestones sticking up in the air. And
Yeah.
people are saying on the dead bodies remain going around.
Yeah, very much against it.
Yes, I know.
Are we referring that to the committee or put it on the front agenda?
Well, open spaces comes first.
Yeah. We'll refer that directly to open spaces then and let them come forward
Lovely.
on their meeting.
Could we look at the trees down Park Road? I noticed that they're coming quite, the branches are coming over quite low, and a lot of the school kids are having to duck.
Yeah. I think, great point. It's been brought up already, and I believe that that's been sorted. Yeah.
They were
It's,
doing it this morning.
yeah, the work's
And I
been
looked
action,
at
so
it,
it's great
they were doing
call.
it this
Thanks.
morning,
That's
right
Same
on
as
the
well,
park.
Thank you. Okay, any other agenda items then please make sure they come through to Jan in plenty.
Agenda item, but no, my apologies for next meeting, I'll be away from parish.
Okay. Thank you. We'll let you out. We'll let you go. Okay, right. Sandra.
Tracy's touched on it and I did mention it. It is about the bins, but particularly on the high street. They're out on a Saturday night. Sunday morning you're looking at Hull Beach High Street with black bin liners down it. On Monday I walked up the path. Kids were coming out of school with their mothers. We couldn't cross because the bin bags were coming out across the pavement. Something, you know, I lived through the bin men's strike and we were all up in arms then. But when you actually see it all over Hull Beach, it's not very good for the town. And I don't know what we can do. But I have spoken to Tracy and I do feel it's a health risk apart from anything else.
Yeah.
The back can easily get through black bags.
Yeah. I mean,
And
in
so can
honesty,
my dog when I take it for the walk.
bin day is Tuesday
knows?
morning, so your black bag should go out until Monday. It says it actually says 7 o'clock Tuesday on the
They're
bag,
out on a
doesn't it?
Saturday night. I can't name where they
No, of
are.
course not.
But that's not good on a Sunday morning. You know, people
Yeah.
walking around town and there's bin bags all on the pavement.
The bags are
I've
obviously
taken
on the
photographs of them.
pavement. The pavements are not owned by parish, so you can see our problem. We can only lobby and help and push with Tracy using the report function. I know it might sound tedious, but there is ways around it. Maybe you could take that to there isn't a committee to deal with it because we don't have to footpaths.
No.
That's more of an educational, but reporting them using the app and things like that. But I do take the point. It does affect the parish, but we need to work with our bodies at district
Yeah, I've
and
already
get.
spoken to Tracy.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so the last item that we've got to is 52, confirmation of date and venue of the next parish council meeting. So to agree that the next parish council meeting date is the 9th of August 2021. Wow. And we'll be at the Methodist Church. We'll be going back to the Methodist Hall. That's only because this room is chock-a-block and we've only been able to grab it during COVID because it's been available. So we're back at the Methodist, but the agendas will be out confirming all the details.
So this will be up and running as it used to be before, after the 19th.
It's not for me to comment. Okay.
D-Day.
So, meeting closed. If we can ask the members of the public to leave via the side door and the exit. Thank you for your participation.